Number one has to be the Indianapolis Colts. Just one of the worst days imaginable for Indy. They lose to the Jaguars, their third straight loss. And during the game, they devastatingly lose Daniel Jones to a torn Achilles. He's out for the season. Oh, and by the way, Anthony Richardson still not cleared for contact off his orbital bone fracture. And Riley Leonard, Evan's boy from Notre Dame, he hurts his knee in this game. He's considered week to week. Just before we started recording this, Evan, the Colts signed 44-year-old grandfather Phillip Rivers to their practice squad. Evan, what do you think of the Colts situation coming out of this Jaguars game at the quarterback position?
They are in extreme desperation mode, which is wild because it wasn't but 3-4 weeks ago that the Colts were trading big time future draft compensation to acquire Sauce Gardner. He's already injured. They're down to maybe their fourth, fifth string quarterback at this point. I keep seeing people tweeting, oh, what about Anthony Richardson? You know, Anthony Richardson is on injured reserve, broke his orbital bone during pregame warmup some time ago. I don't even think he's coming back this season. I don't think the Colts think that he's coming back this season. So stop tweeting about Anthony Richardson. Phillip Rivers, the last time that we saw him, he was playing for the Colts in 2020, the pandemic year. He went 11-5, but I don't know if you remember Phillip Rivers that year. And I mean, the ball was just floating through the air.
Yeah, it was like late career Peyton Manning, like kind of hard to watch him throw.
Yeah, it really was. And now here we are 5 years later. Almost a full 5 years later. I don't think that this isn't going to save the Colts, unfortunately. And I know that the sportsbook odds agree, like they're plus 300 almost to make the playoffs at this point. It's just the bottom has fallen out so quickly on the Colts. It's almost been shocking.
Yeah, around plus 300 to make the playoffs. So if they do not want to start Rivers, and again, he's 44 years old. I don't know that he's been working out. I don't know that he's been throwing. I don't know where he's at, period. I'm not sure the Colts saw enough from his workout on Monday night to at least sign him on Tuesday. If he can't go, Evan, they're down to I think Brett Rippon is what they're going to go with. Brett Rippon was signed to their practice squad in October. We have a little bit of a sample on Brett Rippon. I don't think it's overly optimistic. Any thoughts on him here if he has to play? And by the way, they have to play at Seattle. No matter who starts, Rippon, Rivers, someone else, at Seattle is a very, very difficult place to try to get something done right off the bench here. So what do you think of Brett Rippon?
Oh, he's god-awful. And think Max Brosmer, who was in literally the exact same position 2 weeks ago at Seattle. That, of course, was Max Brosmer's first ever start. Brett Rippon has made starts before, but the starts that Brett Rippon has made have been along the lines of Max Brosmer.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's really tough for anyone who has Jonathan Taylor, which is a lot of people that are in the playoffs. We're not going to have a great projection on JT. It'll be fine because they're going to try to go really run heavy, and he's going to get a lot of volume, but its efficiency is going to take a huge hit, and touchdown opportunities are going to take a huge hit here. So I don't think we're going to have a great projection on JT, and we're certainly not going to have a great projection on Pittman or Pierce or Tyler Warren. They were already kind of struggling to divide up the volume there once you add in Downs, all those guys who I thought were, great picks. And honestly, JT, Pittman, Pierce, Tyler Warren, they were all great picks in best ball and regular fantasy this year. They're in big trouble now.
They're screwed. The Colts also, during that game against the Jaguars, lost Braden Smith to a concussion. They're starting right tackle. I felt bad for Riley Leonard. That might be his only chance to play in the NFL if he can't come back this season from the knee injury. And he had a touchdown pass to Michael Pittman that was pulled off the board. Totally phantom offensive pass interference flag. I mean, Riley Leonard's a 6th-round pick. He could be off the roster and out of the league by as soon as the 2026 offseason. That was his chance at a touchdown pass pulled off the board.
Yeah. Longtime listeners know I have a soft spot in my heart for Daniel Jones. When he had that one really good season on the Giants, I was really in on him big. He showed he can be a starter in this league this season. The injury is probably going to cost him $75 million, $100 million. It's hard to even think about. I also feel for Colts fans here. They had such a great start to the season, even though everyone, including me, left them for dead. And now, as Evan said, they are pretty likely to miss the playoffs. So sad times, just dark, dark days here for Indy. Let's go to story number 2. It is the Dallas Cowboys. This was the Thursday game against the Lions, and this game lived up to the hype in terms of offensive interaction. 74 combined points in this game. Now, maybe it's a different outcome for Dallas if CeeDee Lamb doesn't go down with a scary concussion earlier in the third quarter. He already had 6 catches, 121 yards, and no touchdowns when he went down. After that, though, is why I thought this was a story. Ryan Flournoy was
You nailed it, by the way. You nailed it.
Amazing. Was shredding, and George Pickens was like walking around out there. It was just a really weird run out after CeeDee Lamb left. They're saying they're optimistic on CeeDee Lamb for this week. They obviously have the long week. We'll see. I would consider him questionable right now. But Evan, what do you think about this Flournoy kid? And then any thoughts on Pickens or anything else Cowboys coming out of this game?
Well, this was not Ryan Flournoy's first big game of the season. He's got 2 100-yard games. He's got one game where he went 6 for 114 and one game where he went this past game where he went 9 for 115 and a touchdown. 6th-round pick in the 2024 draft. So this is his second year. I remember looking him up earlier in the season when he had that big game against the Jets, and he is a dude that is a big-time athlete. Didn't have a ton of production in college, but a big-time athlete. And, I mean, he's worked his way. That's not hard to even stick around for, multiple years in the NFL as a 6th-round pick. He has, and now he's had 2 big games. So, I mean, he can do it. He plays in an offense that funnels the ball into the air. I mean, that scores a lot of points. They do have the Vikings coming up, and this is going to be rough for, I guess, the first round of the playoffs in fantasy. And the Cowboys got to face the Vikings. But the Cowboys have been largely matchup proof, and Ryan Flournoy can get open due to that athleticism. So I would be excited. I think he's a fantasy starter, wide receiver 3, if no CeeDee Lamb. I am optimistic about CeeDee Lamb. I kind of need CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
But another one of the big stories from the Thursday night game was George Pickens absolutely mailing it in, not just on the one play that everybody saw where Dak had him deep and he had a step on 2 defenders, but throughout the course of the game, I mean, he packed it in.
Yeah, it was really, really weird. Like, I don't get why. There's clips of him doing that in Pittsburgh a little bit. I've not seen clips of him doing that in Dallas. He is in a contract year, so that like really surprised me. There was one play where he was just kind of like walk. Maybe he didn't think the ball was coming to him. He was just kind of lightly jogging down the field, tries to run a quote unquote comeback and just kind of turns around. And Dak's like, what are you doing? So there's all these clips of this going around. I think Pickens will see them, expect him to bounce back and have a much, much better game. Cowboys came out and said they're not worried about it. They're not going to punish him. He'll be better next week.
Well, they can't punish him.
Yeah, clearly.
They can't.
But yeah, difficult matchup coming up here against
that is some bad tape, though, man. This is a guy in a contract year.
Yeah.
That was some really, really bad tape.
Let's go to the Washington football team, a.k.a. the Commanders. They're just trying to play out the string in peace. They're trying to get their young quarterback some reps, get some momentum going into next season. I get it on that level. In the third quarter, after throwing an interception, Jaden Daniels just gets absolutely trucked, aggravates the left elbow injury. Does not sound serious, but it's hard to see him rushing back here as the Commanders sit at 3-10. They'll likely go to Marcus Mariota this week. Also in this game, Zach Ertz. This is a sad one, man. Tore his ACL. He's like crying as he comes off the field because he knows it's likely over for him at age 35 with this ACL tear now. Honestly, Zach Ertz was, I didn't think that he'd be able to do what he's done over the last couple of years. Just been incredibly, relative to age and expectation, what he's done the last couple of years. So sad for Zach Ertz. Jaden's situation is bad. Going to go back to Mariota. Evan, any thoughts on Commanders as they move forward here to play out the string?
Yeah, they did say, Dan Quinn did say after the game that Jaden Daniels could have returned, but I'm with you. It doesn't, they have 10 losses. I mean, let it go. I don't think that they'll be bringing back Jaden Daniels either. Although if he's a competitor, I don't know. We'll see.
I think he might play. I think he might play again this season. I'm not sure that he'll play this week, but I do think Jaden will play again this season.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. We're back to Marcus Mariota. We know the deal. We've seen him start many, many games this year, and the story's the same again.
Yeah. The couple notes on this game. Terry McLaurin got back up to his normal role. So remember in his first game back, he had a really good game against the Broncos, really impressive working against Surtain, but only ran about half the routes. In this game, he tied Noah Brown for the team lead in routes. And if you watch him, he just looks fresher than the other guys. He looks fresher than Debo. Debo looks pretty gassed to me, has for much of the year. Zach Ertz is done, obviously. And now he gets the Giants and the Cowboys in week 17. So Giants here in week 15, Cowboys in week 17, two pretty good spots here for McLaurin. I was able to sneak like one or two McLaurin teams into the best ball playoffs. Obviously, his advance rate was awful. I'm actually kind of excited about that, although obviously wish it was Jaden instead of Mariota.
So we got 4 games left. So are we going to be able to get an opportunity to see Ben Sinnott, he of 2 hot girlfriends who are friends with each other? He was a second-round pick in the 2024 draft. Is he going to get his opportunity? 4 games left. Ben Sinnott, is it time?
It was on my list to talk about this. I totally forgot that he had 2 girlfriends who are friends with each other. It's amazing. It's an amazing caveat. They've played guys who I think are like really dusty over Ben Sinnott, like Bates and like some other dust balls over these last 2 years. It struck me that they saw Sinnott as more of a blocker than a pass catcher. So I think it's at least possible, and I'm going to keep an eye on it and look into it and see what we can find. But my gut is that they don't see Sinnott as a real pass catcher.
Mine is too, but I can never forget Adam Peters' draft call with Ben Sinnott, where he had one girlfriend right here, one girlfriend right here, and he was talking on the phone with Adam Peters, and Adam Peters said that we see a lot of George Kittle in you, and Adam Peters had a hand in drafting George Kittle in San Francisco. So I'm leaving the light open. I want it to happen badly.
I want it to happen too. I think he's an
injury. So the 2 hot girlfriends who are friends with each other becomes a national story.
Okay. Let's go to story 4 of this week. It is the Cleveland Browns. Browns lose to the Titans at home, but at least in the box score, it was an exciting day for Shadur Sanders. Throws for 364 yards and 3 touchdowns. Has had so many sack problems in college. Only took 2 sacks here. And along the way, Harold Fannin continues his insanely impressive rookie season. He goes 8-1-14-1 on 11 targets. So where you at on Shadur Sanders right now, Evan? I'm not saying he's been good, but he's for sure been better than Dylan Gabriel. He's been for sure been better, I think, than Browns era Deshaun Watson. And now they announced he's going to start each game for the rest of the season, Shadur Sanders. So where you at on Shadur right now and any other Browns thoughts?
Yeah, he's been exciting. He hit Jerry Jeudy on a pass play behind the defense that, my God, I really wish he would have hit the week before against San Francisco, spoiling my my play of the year. But it was good to see him hit that. And he is doing this despite a severely shorthanded supporting cast. Wyatt Teller, starting right guard, was out. Jack Conklin, starting right tackle, was out. Ethan Posich, the Browns center, tore his Achilles during the game. Now, there are still nitpicks. They're playing the friggin' Titans. Shadur was pressured on 63% of his dropbacks. He held onto the ball an average of 3.6 seconds. But he averaged almost 9 yards per pass attempt. He's making plays outside the pocket. And I don't want to nitpick him too much because this was an excellent performance by a rookie quarterback in his 3rd NFL start. Absolutely. For the Browns to just be able to put up that many points against, I don't care, a freaking college bowl team would have been an accomplishment to this point. But they were able to do it against an actual NFL team in subpar conditions.
Yeah, it was snowy, it was cold, it was a little bit windy also there. Do you think that Shadur has shown enough? I know it's only been a couple games, but if you had to say right now, has he done enough to at least be in the conversation to start for the Browns next year? Obviously, they're going to address the quarterback in some other ways, address position in some other ways this offseason, but would you consider Shadur in the mix to start week 1 next year?
Right now, yes. However, this pro Shadur Sanders camp, the people that are saying that the Browns are working to sabotage Shadur, there is no one that is working to sabotage Shadur more than the pro Shadur camp, because creating a circus out of this 5th round rookie, who is the most exciting 5th round pick maybe ever, Okay. But creating a circus out of this is only going to work against his chances because there's not an owner in the NFL that wants their quarterback, who may not even be an actual NFL starting caliber quarterback, to be at the center of a circus.
Yeah.
So the people that are sabotaging Shedeur Sanders are not the Browns organization. It's the people that are turning this thing into a circus.
Yep, agreed. A couple other smaller notes from this game. David Njoku caught a touchdown. On that touchdown, he comes down and hurts his knee. I don't know what the status is there, but it certainly helped Harold Fannin. Fannin ended up running 40 routes on 47 dropbacks in this game. Man, he's good. He's up to 59, 619, 4 touchdowns as a rookie tight end and still has 4 games left. You do not see this kind of production often from a rookie tight end, and Harold Fannin is doing it in a horrible situation. Other note, Dylan Sampson was questionable coming into this game with a calf issue. He played, and we finally got what I've been asking for. Judkins in the pounder role. Honestly, Quinshon Judkins has been really struggling for efficiency. And then Dylan Sampson as the passing back, he gets 6 targets, catches 5 of them for 64 yards. Sampson ended up playing 26 snaps compared to 13 for Jerome Ford. So, yeah, I thought that was like a step in the right direction there for the backfield, but certainly concerned with the Judkins efficiency. Has not been good lately, perhaps partially due to the offensive line stuff Evan just talked about. Story number 5, the Chiefs. Sunday night football felt like a funeral for the Chiefs. They're in Arrowhead, and the Texans defense makes the Chiefs look withered and kind of old. I mean, some really bad drops, including one by Kelsey that went for an interception, another by Rashee Rice late. But Mahomes completes just 14 of 33 passes for 160 yards, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And now the Chiefs are a massive dog to even make the playoffs. They're around like plus 490 just to get into the playoffs, are the Chiefs. So feels like this season at least is over for the Chiefs. Evan, what do you think of their game on Sunday night?
Well, they say that Yoko Ono broke up the Beatles. And every time you post that picture of Taylor Swift just ripping a new one to Travis Kelce, I used to think maybe this is, an opportunity. Maybe this is an opportunity. But now I just think of Yoko Ono. And it's going tough for the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs played the Texans, The Texans have the most badass defense in the league. They're the most physical defense in the league. Their corners are sick. They've got the best outside edge rush duo in the NFL. And the Chiefs were missing Josh Simmons, their first-round left tackle. They're starting right tackle Jawan Taylor, and they're starting right guard All-Pro Trey Smith. And the dude that they had filling in at left tackle, Wanya Morris, on the first play of the game, got carted off, and he's done for the season. So, just it's attrition, and was the worst matchup possible for Kansas City. And, it's not a surprising result in the slightest.
Yeah, and from a fantasy perspective, yeah, they're dead for the playoffs. They're going to play out the string. They get to play the Chargers next, then the Titans. 2 spots where they can certainly do some damage here. The offensive line stuff obviously is a major concern. Just on the macro, though, like they highlighted the 1-score stuff on the broadcast. If you guys watch the Sunday night football game, I don't think it's a coin flip when you have Patrick Mahomes. When you have Mahomes, you should win more 1-score games, but you're not going to go undefeated in them like the Chiefs did for so long. And so there's been a lot of regression here where they're losing a lot of close games this season, and games that they won last season and won all of them last season until the Super Bowl. So yeah,
this will be the first time they missed the playoffs since 2014. The Chiefs,
crazy.
The Browns have been to the playoffs like 3 times in the last 40 years.
By the way, our in-season NFL product does run through the Super Bowl. That product contains Evan's matchups, Evan and I's premium shows on Friday nights and Sunday mornings, all of our fantasy projections for every player in every game, and tons more. We have reduced the price for rest of season, and we also have weekly and monthly options available. Check that out at establishtherun.com. Also check out the playoff-only best ball product. That's also at establishtherun.com. All right, let's go to the NFC now. We'll go in alphabetical order. Start with the Arizona Cardinals. Predictable outcome for the Cardinals here. They get trucked by the Rams, but Jacoby Brissett drops back another 50 times, and Michael, Jerry Rice Wilson goes berserk. It's like the same script seemingly every week for this team at this point. Evan, what do you think of Cardinals' loss to the Rams?
I mean, it was total domination. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Nothing has changed. It was total domination by the opponent. I guess Brissett ends up getting there because he had a million dropbacks again. It's the exact same script over and over again. Now they have Houston. They go at Houston, Arizona.
Yeah.
This is going to be one of the biggest questions that we weigh, especially in season long, because people have been riding Jacoby Brissett. People have been riding him in DFS, I guess, in their cash games, and he's been paying off. This will be the biggest question in the week. Can you do it at Houston? My initial inclination is no, but I thought that the luck was going to run out this past week, and it did not.
They lost Paris Johnson, their left tackle, to an MCL sprain, and now you have to go play the Texans, best defense in the NFL, maybe, without your left tackle, and you got Joey Brissett back there. It's a scary spot. It's a really scary spot for the Cardinals coming up here.
The Cardinals, by the way, and let's remember to separate real-life football from fantasy football, the Cardinals have lost 10 of their last 11 games, and they've lost 5 straight games. So let's continue to keep our eye on the ball as we make the best decisions we can in fantasy football.
Michael Wilson now has 100-plus yards in all 3 games that Marvin Harrison has missed. For people out there, obviously, like anytime Marv is out, you're playing him, you're starting him. Even against the Texans, I would at least consider it. We'll have final projection there, starting or at least opening projection there on Wednesday night. I guess my question,
it's almost reminiscent of remember the year that Blake Bortles threw like 35 touchdown passes, and Allen Robinson had like 1,400 yards or something like that. I mean, it's almost similar to that. And I think the Jaguars went like 5-11.
Yeah, I mean, for Dynasty Bros out there, do you think how much of this Michael Wilson stuff do you think is real? It's a hard question because Brissett is what's unlocked the passing game. And when Marvin Harrison was back for that brief time, like a half, what was it, 2 weeks ago or last week? Marvin Harrison was actually out earning targets ahead of Michael Wilson there. So any long-term thoughts on Michael Wilson?
I don't want to draw like a straight line behind Allen Robinson and Michael Wilson. I want to be clear about that. But I do think that Michael Wilson is good. You listen to Matt Harmon and his reception perception stuff on Michael Wilson. Michael Wilson is good. However, before this stint where they throw the ball 50 times a game, and Marvin Harrison was in there, and Kyler Murray was at quarterback. That just was not. You couldn't support more than a couple of dudes, really, maybe even one guy on a weekly basis. Yeah. So I think that, the situation is – Michael Wilson is good. Like, I feel confident saying that.
Yeah.
Maybe a high-end number 2 wide receiver. I think that Allen Robinson as height was a legit number 1.
Okay. Obviously, this week is very difficult. Just remember, Cardinals get to play the Falcons in Week 16 and the Bengals in Week 17. So don't go panicking after the Cardinals have a down game here. I think they will perform on offense in 16 and 17. Last note on the Cardinals, Trey Benson tried to come back. They're not giving any details, but sounds like he aggravated something, and I would expect Trey Benson to be announced out for the year at some point this week. Let's go to the Falcons. Falcons are playing out the string here. They host the Seahawks and get waxed 37-9. I guess I should say I've been really hard on Kyle Pitts. I've gone out of my way not to play Kyle Pitts in some spots where maybe I should have. He's been very, very good in these games when Kirk Cousins is the quarterback and Drake London is out. And that continued in this game. 10 targets for Kyle Pitts here, 6 catches, 90 yards. It seems like Pitts is the only one that Kirk Cousins is comfortable throwing to. We'll see on the status of Drake London going forward. Evan, thoughts on Falcons' loss to the Seahawks?
That's about all that there is to say about the Falcons. I believe at this point, the Falcons are totally dead. I actually started watching this game at the end of the first because I was on Seahawks to destroy them, and the Seahawks team total over, and the Seahawks had 3 points with 1 minute left in the first half, and then I think they got a field goal, and then Shaheed returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown, and then they kept forcing turnovers. I mean, the Falcons they're a totally dead team. I was hoping for some more catches out of Bijan, especially as it turned into very negative game script in the second half. That never came to fruition, but Falcons are dead. And it doesn't even sound like Drake London's a guarantee to come back this week.
I was going to say that. I was shocked. They had a practice on Monday, and Drake London, or at least a walkthrough on Monday, and Drake London was listed as DNP. So, yeah, not good. And that's the thing about having these really good fantasy players on dead teams. It can work out because they can get into a lot of garbage time. They can play loose, but it can also be like, well, he's got this nagging knee thing and he's not going to rush back. And that might be what's going on with Drake London. We should know more later today, tomorrow on Drake London. Good spot, though, if London can play at the Bucs Thursday night in a very big
and another good
game.
Spot for Kyle Pitts if Drake London does not play.
Yep. Panthers were on a bye. They will play at the Saints on Sunday. Remember, before the bye, it was the best win of the Bryce Young era, I thought, 31-28 over the Rams. Also remember, before the bye, we saw the Rico Chuba stuff start to condense. Chuba gaining big time. I think Rico will be ahead in week 15, especially on early downs, but not by a ton. And we'll also see some hot hand stuff between those guys as well. So we're going to have a pretty mixed projection there, I think, between Rico and Chuba. Evan, any thoughts on that split or anything else on Panthers as they come out of their bye?
Just keeping an eye on the potential, continued surge of Jalen Coker. And, I mean, we have a real race in the NFC South, and the Panthers are in it.
Indeed they are. Bears. Biggest game in ages for the Bears. They go on the road to a frigid and tough spot at Lambeau. Bears did have their chances late, but fall 28-21, giving the Packers control of the NFC North. Caleb Williams struggled early, but he started cooking in the second half, and Luther, the truther, Burden, leads team in targets with Rome Odunze out, but just not enough in the end. Evan, what do you think of Bears' loss in Lambeau?
Oh, man, I thought it was an awesome game. I almost felt myself, and I'm not a laundry bro at all when it comes to pro football, like whatsoever, but I almost felt myself pulling for the Bears in the second half. Caleb was sensational. I don't know that there's been a half. I mean, Josh Allen has had amazing games and he's the best player in the NFL, but Caleb Williams' second half against the Packers was unbelievable. And, if I am a Bears fan, which I'm not going to become a Bears fan, but if I am a Bears fan, I would not really worry about that first half, and I would think about that second half without Rome Odunze in those conditions and the throws that Caleb Williams made. Mother of God, like he can be the best quarterback in the NFL. Like that's in his range of potential outcomes. Look at his season-long numbers, his passer rating, completion rate, kind of inconsistency quarter to quarter, game to game, whatever. My goodness, there are not three players on the NFL that can make some of those throws that he was making in the second half. Absolutely elevating teammates, and I'd feel really, really good about that.
I'm curious what you thought of Luther Burden in the first game without Rome Odunze, because the role did not change a ton. He played 71% of the snaps, ran 69% of the routes. He did lead the team in targets, but only with 6 for a 17% share, caught 4 of them for 67 yards. So, I still think Luther Burden is the best receiver that they have. They are not giving him like a full plate though yet. What do you think of his game? And then also Colson Loveland did not get a role expansion, 56% of the routes with Rome Odunze out. He did catch a short touchdown here. Wish we got more of Colson Loveland. But yeah, any thoughts on the rookies coming out of this game?
Well, for as much as I just hyped up Caleb Williams, Caleb Williams only threw for 186 yards in the game. And their passing game has not been prolific. And in the passing game, and Ben Johnson did this in Detroit too, they spread the ball around. They try to keep all their dudes involved. There are a lot of coaches that believe that that's the way to go, especially when you have a lot of weapons, which I think that they feel like they do. I mean, they use top 40 picks on Luther Burden and Colson Loveland. Cole Kmet gets paid a lot of money. DJ Moore gets paid a lot of money. Rome Odunze was a top 10 pick. They try to keep all those dudes involved, and there's not one guy that they are shoveling targets to. And they're not putting up 300 passing yards per week.
Yeah.
So for all things considered, I mean, I think Luther Burden has done very, very well. He has not done well to our standards in fantasy football. We need more on-field production than that. But absolutely, this has been a very promising run. And I also think that in this particular game, they didn't elevate DJ Moore into the number one receiver role, minus Rome Odunze. Luther Burden took that over to a greater extent. So
Yeah.
I'd feel good about him in real life. I don't know if we can. I don't know. He'll be in the mix as a play this week.
Yeah, and they have a difficult schedule. They play the Browns, and then they have to play the Packers again the next 2 weeks. And Evan mentioned, they're a run-heavy team with quarterback play that can be completion percentage can be shaky, and then you also get a split at the running back. DeAndre Swift and Monangai just basically series by series, dead even. Thought they both played a pretty good game here also.
Also, I wanted to comment because I was really commenting on the throws that Caleb Williams made. His escapability is outrageous. His ability to get away from me. He's not even a particular big guy. Ben Roethlisberger could just, shed sacks with his sheer manpower. He's a beast. But Caleb Williams has that athleticism and flexibility to get out of it on his own. Also, I'm not so sure. Rome Odunze's stress fracture in his foot.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound very good. So I wouldn't be surprised if he misses another game or two. As you mentioned, they've got the Browns going to Soldier Field next. And then they have the Packers again that following week. This is whatever, but this is narrative stuff. But won't it be hard to kind of look past the Browns and think about, man, we got the Packers coming to Soldier Field the very next week. Yeah. This will be an interesting game to kind of analyze from that standpoint, I think.
For sure. Let's go to the Detroit Lions. This was the Thursday game. Lions put 44 points on the Cowboys on the back of the unstoppable Jahmyr Gibbs. Amon-Ra was a little bit banged up, still played. No Laporta, no problem. Gibbs runs for 3 touchdowns, catches 7 balls for 77 yards. Evan had the controversial take before the season, ranked Jahmyr Gibbs as his number 1 overall player. Proved to be a very, very, very good take. Evan, what do you think of Lions win over the Cowboys?
Yeah, and to his credit, David Montgomery had a beast of a touchdown run in this game. So he also has something left in the tank. It's just that Jahmyr Gibbs is, I know Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, although he's falling off. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs is right there as maybe the best running back in the league. Another really nice game for Jamison Williams, 7 for 96. Amon-Ra, what a freaking warrior. No one and their mother even gave him a chance to play in this game. And then it was just like, you know what? The Lions, they're out of it if they don't win this game. And I thought the Cowboys were going to win, but then it just kind of became clear that Amon-Ra at least was going to try to play, and he wound up having a fine game. He finished with 6 for 92. Yeah. And Tesla caught another touchdown. And I think they're going to need him. I don't know did Brock Wright go on IR?
I'm not sure there.
Yeah. Whatever the case may be, I think he's going to be out multiple more weeks with the scary trachea injury. And the tight ends that they have left, Ross Dwelly and Anthony Ferguson, they're not going to do anything. So I think that Tesla will continue to get a good number of snaps.
Yeah, Tesla did run 30 routes in this game, only 2 targets. I mean, his targets per route run, Tesla, is really concerning, but all he does is catch touchdowns. He also caught another bomb that was out of bounds in this game. Lions have a long week here, but man, they play the Rams. And I know the Rams have a good defense, but this is in a dome and on turf.
Yeah.
And the total is up at 56.
And every revenge narrative that you can possibly imagine on both sides.
Yep. The Stafford Bowl. So yeah, it's going to be an awesome game and a huge one for fantasy week 15. Just to put a wrap on the Gibbs stuff. As of right now, fantasy's number 1 running back in total points, half PPR, is Jonathan Taylor. Then Christian McCaffrey, then Gibbs, then Achane. So, but Gibbs has a chance to overtake those guys, especially with JT falling off here as we sweat Evans' number 1 overall Jahmyr Gibbs take. Let's go to the Packers. Great win for the Packers. Moved to 9-3-1. They're now around minus 230 to win the NFC North. Honestly, this Christian Watson breakout is kind of wild. He tore his ACL on January 5th of 2025. And over the last few weeks, since he's been back, I think he's playing the best football of his career. I mean, only 4 targets here, but turns it into 489 too. He looks special out there after missing so much time with injuries in his career. Evan, what do you think of Packers win over the Bears?
Yeah, he does look special. He does look special. And I know he only had 4 targets in this game.
Yes.
The week before he had 10, though. And I think the way that they use him at all the receiver positions, and his snaps and his routes are like elite among the other Packers pass catchers. They use him as a true number 1 receiver. So they know that. They've been seeing it from Christian Watson. They're using him correctly. And he has been a big reason for the impetus for Jordan Love having another, because he's done this before, having an insane late season push. Christian Watson as the Packers' number 1 receiver. I would say clear-cut number 1 receiver at this point, with Jayden Reed coming back and making it a question who's the number 2 between him and Romeo Doubs.
Jayden Reed ran 17 routes on 26 dropbacks in this game. Romeo Doubs ran 19. Christian Watson, 21. Dontavian Wicks hurt his ankle in this game, so he only ran 3 routes. The surprise was Bo Melton running more routes than Matthew Golden. I mean, Matthew Golden, 4 routes in this game. I know he's been banged up. He's had a wrist thing. He's had a shoulder thing, but just wildly disappointing rookie year for Matthew Golden. But yeah, I thought Jayden Reed on his opportunities came back and looked really, really good. I would be playing him more if I was them, not just in 3 wide receiver sets, but they seem to be pretty intent on that role for him. This was Jayden Reed's first game since week 2.
They got the Broncos next.
Tough. In these massive games, and this was a massive game, Josh Jacobs, 20 carries on 20 out of 23 running back carries. I mean, they just loaded him up and stuck with it the whole way. By the way, producer Ryan just sent me a note. Before the season, Silva said he would bet the Lions to miss the playoffs.
I did bet the Lions to miss the playoffs.
I think that was like
plus 180.
Plus 180.
That's why that was one of the reasons I was really rooting for Dallas to win on Thursday night. That would have been really nice.
And now the Lions are a huge dog to make the playoffs here, in part because somebody's going to win that Bears-Packers game in 2 weeks. So Lions are a huge dog to make the playoffs here. And when Evan said that before the season, the YouTube commenters, they did not like that take. They did not like that take. And so turned out to be a good one. Lions.
Well, the YouTube commenters, they just think that win-loss records are static year to year. Like, oh, they were 11-5 last year. They can't be any different than that, you know?
We love our YouTube commenters.
We do? Maybe you love them.
Let's go to the Rams. Let's go to the Rams. Rams smoked the Cardinals. Puka Nacua was incredible here. 7 catches, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns. Really special performance. Matthew Stafford moves to around minus 160 now to be the MVP. Drake May plus 200. Jordan Love and Josh Allen are lurking. Also, we got a huge Blake Corum game here. Evan, what do you think of Rams blowout of the Cardinals?
Yeah, it was about as expected. The game got flexed for week 16. Patriots against someone I can't remember. I don't know. I just, my point is that the MVP race is by no means over. I think that Drake May definitely still has a chance. The Rams get a Lions defense that's going to be limping into this game. I mean, they're so banged up in the secondary. The Lions lost Brian Branch to a torn Achilles. Tyrion Arnold, their number 1 corner, just went on IR. As you mentioned, it's going to be a prolific. I haven't even looked at the total yet, but I'm sure that it'll be
55 and a half.
55 and a half. Yeah. Woohoo! I think that might be the highest of the season.
Yeah. I just want to say on the MVP race, I don't think Josh is out of it either. You know?
Yeah. Very fair point. That crossed my mind watching the Bengals game. The Bills on Sunday. Whoa, man, that was a performance.
And we'll get to that. But my point is that so much of the MVP comes down to wins and losses. Like you saw Sam Darnold somewhat in the mix for MVP last year. He lost 1 or 2 games and it was just over. And so if Matthew Stafford loses a couple games here down the stretch, or Drake May loses 1, I don't think Josh is dead. But yeah, so much going to come down to wins and losses. The Corum stuff, Evan, you know, we've talked all year, and this has been a story that like people don't want to hear because historically the Rams have just been like, yeah, we'll talk about other running backs, but when the chips are down, we're playing Kyren. They have changed that over the last month 6 weeks. Blake Corum, no matter what the spot is, how big the game is, whatever, he's getting series by series. And in this game, he breaks off some huge runs for the second straight week. Corum's now at 5.4 yards per carry this season. Kyren at just 4.9. And the difference in this game, they got 3 rushing touchdowns. So many goal line plays have gone to Devontae Adams this season, but they failed on a couple goal line targets to Devontae Adams here, and they get 3 rushing touchdowns. So some regression there. But man, Blake Corum is exciting to have right now as like a Kyle Monangai type where he's getting full series by series stuff. What do you think about the backfield split there?
Yeah, and I wouldn't even disagree with some of the people that have said that Blake Corum looks more explosive than Kyren Williams. In terms of snaps, and I haven't looked at the snaps yet for this past week, but in the previous like 4 weeks, it had been Kyren 65 and Blake Corum 35 in almost every game, almost exactly.
Yeah, this was Kyren 36 snaps, Corum 22.
Yeah, so that's not terribly far off, and the blowout,
Yeah,
affected that. But I think that they have a set plan for what they want to do. I don't think it's going to change. They still love Kyren, but Blake Corum more than making the most of his opportunities. And you remember, I know people thought that he had a fairly disappointing rookie year, and then they drafted Jarquez Hunter, which, by the way, Jarquez Hunter nowhere to be found in the 4th round. And Corum was coming off of a pretty brutal injury his final year at Michigan, but he has been a difference maker with his opportunities this year.
absolutely. Let's go to the Vikings. And J.J. McCarthy, 9, gets his revenge here with everyone, including me, including Evan, at panic level 15 out of 10. J.J. McCarthy posts a very clean game against the Commanders. 16 of 23, 163 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, no fumbles, did take 4 sacks. Does this change your outlook on McCarthy, Evan, or is this just, hey, a one-off game in one of the best possible spots, home against the Commanders? That's all it is. What do you think coming out of this one on McCarthy?
I think that we can now say definitively that Thor Nystrom was right. No, just shout out to our old buddy at Roto World, Thor Nystrom, who got a ton of heat for being really high on J.J. McCarthy and then him, failing in his first 6 starts. But he had to feel good. I felt good for Thor. I thought about Thor Nystrom during the game with J.J. McCarthy playing well. J.J. McCarthy did play well in this game. He got the ball out of his hands on average 2.56 seconds on average time to throw, his quickest all season. So he went back into the lab during his week off, the Max Brosmer week, and he played with a little bit more confidence. And you love to see that. I mean, again, this is his 7th NFL start.
Yeah.
It really is tough to just bury it. It felt not tough in the moment to bury J.J. McCarthy after 6 starts. But when we kind of zoom out, it's tough to bury a dude after 7 NFL starts.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
In the draft.
That's totally fair. I'm skeptical that this game should be counted as like
no question. But it also seemed it gotten to the point where no one thought that J.J. McCarthy was even capable of playing well at all.
Yeah,
and he did play well in this game, and he had all of his pass catchers healthy, and his offensive line was healthy. He's playing one of the worst defenses in the league, but he did show that he's at least capable of playing well in his 7th NFL start.
Yeah, and I mean, he turned 23 pass attempts into 163 yards. I mean, Justin Jefferson still did absolutely nothing. 2 catches, 11 yards on 4 targets. So, it's not like he went out there like Peyton Manning, but it's at least good that he was not mistake prone, I would say, in this game and was accurate.
They highlighted, the TV broadcast highlighted during the game, Justin Jefferson. And I mean, Washington had 2 guys on him. Anytime that it was like a notable passing situation in the red zone, 3rd down, like there were always 2 guys in his vicinity.
Yep. They play the Cowboys next. And, people are going to say this is an incredible spot. Cowboys struggle to defend wide receivers. I think it's going to be tougher than it seems, but we'll talk more about that on Friday night for the Vikings. Saints pull off an upset in Tampa, and they do it through Tyler Shuck's legs. 7 carries, 55 yards, 2 touchdowns rushing for Shuck here. I thought it was also Devin Neal's best NFL game by a mile, and Saints get their 3rd win. This does give Shuck some fantasy viability. The fact that he can do this, if you guys want to go back and watch some of these runs that Shuck had, he can move, man. And that gives some floor ceiling combo in fantasy. Evan, what do you think of Saints win over the Bucs?
Yeah, this game was affected by the rain. Neither team threw for even 150 passing yards in the game. But the running stuff definitely can matter. I talked about that on Friday, and it wasn't to the extent that it happened in this game, but he had run for 40 combined yards in his previous 2 games. Tyler Shuck had. He ran 4.63 at the combine, and he hit 19.4 miles per hour on his 34-yard touchdown run. Tyler Shuck, if encouraged by the coaching staff, can run and be a factor in that way. And that is nice to think about for his dynasty prospects, which I think that, the Saints, they're probably going to draft a quarterback in the first round. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what people even think about this quarterback class, because this incoming quarterback class, because the opinions have been mixed as far as I have seen.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you have him in dynasty, like you got to be feeling good about that. And he paid dividends because of this in DFS this week.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually played Tyler Shuck on my main single entry team on DraftKings DFS this week, which was great. But I was like, there's no way that Shuck can hit without making a bunch of completions. Played it a double with Olave and Vele, and Shuck ends up dropping back just 24 times. Wide receivers fail, and so it was a mess. But yeah, just a unique way for Shuck to get there that I didn't think was really in the range. 2 rushing touchdowns, 55 rushing yards. Let's go to the Giants. Giants were on a bye. They will come out of it to host the Commanders. This will be a very good spot for Jackson Dart, Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson. I haven't seen any updates on the status of Tyrone Tracy. He had some type of hip and arm issue in week 13. Not expected to be serious, but we'll see if he's able to play. If he's not, decent spot for Devin Singletary. Evan, any Giants thoughts as they come out of their bye?
My only Giants thought is that I hope that they don't take away Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame.
Yes. Do you want to give the people a quick thought on Notre Dame not being selected?
I have way too many thoughts for that. We got to get to the next team.
Okay. By the way, if the season ended today, the Giants would hold the number 1 overall pick. Seems like they always have a top 5 pick, but they would hold the number 1 overall pick right now. They have the same record as Vegas and Tennessee, 2 wins, but they do hold the tiebreaker there over those teams. Last Giant note I had, I just want to make sure that Jackson Dart is going to run, and they're not going to limit his running, because if he is not going to run, it's going to be a struggle for him in the Giants offense. I think, they have to let him be loose. They have to let him get loose, I think. Eagles. Oh, boy. This was another dud last night, Evan, for the Eagles offense, this time against the Chargers. The Eagles have now not scored more than 24 points in a game since week 8. And in this game, they actually got Saquon Barkley going. He finally found some space. He rips off 6.1 yards per carry, including a 52-yard touchdown run. But the mistakes, Hurts clearly didn't see the linebacker on the first interception. A.J. Brown dropped for another interception. Devontae Smith falls down, another interception. 4 times Hurts was picked off in this game. I've heard people, and I know this sounds crazy, there's people out there being like, we got to go to Tanner McKee. We got to go to Tanner McKee. Hurts can't do it. I think that's ridiculous. I can get into more on why in a second, but Evan, what do you think of Eagles game last night?
Yeah, I kind of do think that Tanner McKee is decent, and I think that you do too.
Yep, definitely.
But it's going to take an injury to get to that. But yeah, it feels like it's 2023 all over again, where it's just the late season collapse, and even Nick Sirianni listened to you. Shout out, listen to the show, Nick Sirianni. He took your advice and pulled some play calling stuff away from Kevin Patullo, and they still score 19 points and lose. So it just seems like it's 2023 all over again.
So this Lane Johnson thing is so bad. And then during this game, Landon Dickerson also got banged up with a calf issue, continue to have tons of offensive line problems. Yeah, the thing on Hurts was like, he was not good last night. I get that. But like the AJ Brown interception, the Devontae Smith interception, I'm not sure those are necessarily his fault. Jalen Hurts has done nothing but win for the most part for the Eagles. And so I get it. I do think Tanner McKee can play. There's probably some teams out there that think McKee is an NFL starter, but yeah, I would not move away from Hurts. I do not think the Eagles were. Last note I had was Dallas Goedert was awesome in this game on third downs. I mean, Dallas Goedert really played a heck of a game. And yeah, they play the Raiders at home here this week. If they do not put 30 plus on the Raiders, it is going to be big time panic here for Eagles Nation. 49ers. They were on a bye. They will come out of it for a dream spot home against the Titans. They'll come into this out of their bye really healthy. I mean, rare for them. Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, CMC, Purdy all together for the stretch run. Evan, any Niners thoughts here as they get set to face the Titans?
Yeah, they should tee off on the Titans. And another thing to remember, their 49ers defense has been so decimated that I don't know that it'll happen against the Titans, but they should be a shootout team the rest of the way. I'm very excited to be, holding Juwan Jennings, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, maybe Brock Purdy, maybe Ricky Pearsall. Ricky Pearsall at least on the bench. But I'd be excited to be. I think that they're going to finish strong offensively, San Francisco, in large part because they're going to have to.
Let's go to the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks started slow in Atlanta. As Evan mentioned, they get sparked by that Rashid Shaheed kickoff return touchdown, end up putting 31 points on the Falcons in the second half and win 37-9. The running back stuff was, again, big story. Kenneth Walker was the lead back. I mean, he was well ahead of Zach Charbonnet when this game was close. I mean, at one point it was 8-1, 9-1 in carries. But Kenneth Walker against the Falcons, 2.9 yards per carry, only caught 1 of 3 targets. That went for -1 yards. So the efficiency, I mean, the role's been good for Walker. Efficiency here was shockingly bad. Evan, what do you think of that? And any other Seahawks thoughts?
Yeah, and there were so many scoring position plays in the second half where it was Charbonnet in and no sign of Kenneth Walker. And I know that that's largely been the case, but they had so many opportunities in the red zone of Atlanta because Seattle caught fire offensively. I mean, in the second half, Sam Darnold had 3 touchdowns, 182 yards passing, 153.3 quarterback rating, almost perfect quarterback rating. The Seahawks did whatever they wanted to on offense, except for feed Kenneth Walker successfully in the second half of this game. So very, very discouraging. I was extremely high on Kenneth Walker. I was confident, foolishly confident that this would be his finally his at long last his breakout game, and it did not happen. Jackson Smith and Jigba, though, owned A.J. Terrell in this game. 7 targets against A.J. Terrell, 2 Jackson Smith and Jigba, 5 catches, 81 yards, and a touchdown. Now they got the Colts coming up.
Yeah, and with Jonathan Taylor falling off here, JSN is now -370 to be your offensive player of the year. So
wow,
JSN,
that is a commanding lead. And now he's got the Colts who just, they're going to be without Sauce Gardner again, and they just lost Charvarius Ward to his 3rd concussion of the season. So another big opportunity coming up for JSN to lengthen that lead for OPOY.
Yeah, and actually second choice now is no longer Jonathan Taylor. Second choice for offensive player of the year is Jahmyr Gibbs back at +600. Also, for any deep Dynasty bros out there, or not deep Dynasty bros, just Dynasty bros, period, Elijah Arroyo, who I think is a really interesting prospect. He left this game with a knee injury. Have not seen an update there. Bucks. This was a brutal loss for the Bucks at home to the Saints. I get they didn't have Tristan Wirfs, but man, and I know Baker's hurt, but Baker has been so bad for the last, I don't know, month. Like, it's hard to watch.
Maybe 2 months.
Maybe 2 months. And then, so we have Baker playing awful. And I put some of this Emeka Egbuka catch rate stuff on him. Emeka Egbuka is at a 49% catch rate here right now. And some of that's on Egbuka for sure. A lot of it's probably on Baker also.
Over the last month, Baker Mayfield has a 53% completion rate.
I mean, they can't complete a pass. And so Egbuka keeps I thought he was a really interesting play on DFS because nobody wanted to play Egbuka, but he was playing the Saints without Mike Evans. Baker can't have this horrific of a completion percentage forever, and he does again, so it's scary right now. I guess good news, Mike Evans could be back as soon as Thursday here for the Bucks. But anyways, Evan, what do you think of Bucks loss to the Saints?
I think that you hit on pretty much all the relevant stories.
Yeah.
I think Bucky Irving coming out guns blazing, that was nice in the receiving game. Yeah, I'm looking at Mike Evans. I'm also looking at Jalen McMillan. Could he return
Yeah.
on Thursday? But I mean, they've got a cupcake bounce back matchup against a dead Atlanta team.
Yeah.
But the Saints, I mean, they play hard and they got the victory over. The Buccaneers are now tied for first place in the NFC North with Carolina.
NFC South. Yeah.
NFC South, yes.
The Bucks do have a relatively easy schedule. Evan mentioned Falcons Thursday, then long week, and they get to play the Panthers in that big game. Then they play Dolphins. So good fantasy spots for them as
Tristan
well.
Wirfs did not play in this game.
Yep.
Hopefully he'll be back against Atlanta.
Yeah. Last note for me on the Bucks. Evan mentioned the Bucky thing. So Bucky came out on fire because I played Bucky a bunch in DFS this week. He was ripping some big plays. He got a 24-yard touchdown on the screen pass, but then he had some really big negative runs, like a -6. I think there was like a -8, a -10 in there. And after that, we saw a lot more Rachaad White and even more Sean Tucker. Snaps ended up Bucky 36, Rachaad White 36 as well, Sean Tucker 12. So I don't know exactly what happened, but it felt to me like those negative runs led to a reduced amount of playing time for Bucky. And also they were trailing, so Rachaad White played more. But yeah, a little bit disappointed for me on Bucky, even though he did come out absolutely on fire. Let's head to the AFC now. We'll start with the Baltimore Ravens. Kind of similar to the Chiefs, a wayward season, and perhaps week 14 was the nail in the coffin. Ravens lose a home game to the Steelers. And yeah, the Isaiah Likely touchdown that got overturned, that was BS. But the bottom line is the Ravens are now 6-7. Lamar Jackson has lost back-to-back home games to the Bengals and the Steelers. It is not good. Evan, what do you think of Ravens' loss to Pittsburgh?
Yeah, and in the box score, Lamar Jackson's rushing stats look good. I still think he looks several steps slower than in previous seasons. He'll get another chance against Cincinnati this week, but I mean, I've lost hope for Lamar Jackson being a truly explosive runner at this point.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And I don't trust myself in the eye test at all. I thought he made some really good moves and looked quick this week, but I don't know.
I just think he can't put his foot in the ground and like explode upfield.
Yeah.
And bang long runs like he did. He's done so many times historically.
Yeah. I mean, they do get
he can have good runs. I mean,
Yeah.
he can have good runs. He's still above average runner. I just think that like in terms of busting long runs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they play the Bengals this week, right? And I mean, I'm going to be tempted to take, I'm just confirming, but I'm going to be tempted to take some shots here on Lamar. Yeah, they're at Cincy this week. Total in that game is 52.
Yeah, Adam, I just said that they're playing the Bengals this week. So
perfect. Oh, one thing we have to talk about. Mark Andrews was set to be a free agent. He's 30 years old. I was shocked when I saw that last week they gave Mark Andrews 3-year deal, $39 million, $26 million guaranteed. Now, obviously, the true details of the contract are not that. They'll have an out earlier, but man, it was not great for Isaiah Likely. To me, Mark Andrews has been in pretty severe decline each year, down to 1.7 yards per route run. And also, you kind of block Isaiah Likely here, who I think is an exciting player, needs to be running close to 80 or 90% of the routes. So yeah, Evan, any reaction to the Mark Andrews, somewhat surprising, I thought, extension that came through last week?
Oh, it was very curious. It was on, and all things considered, they didn't give him like top shelf money.
Right.
I mean, it's $13 million a year, but as you mentioned, he's 31 years old. What I saw you do a post about his yards per route run. He's at like 1.1 yards per route run.
Really bad
this year. He's had a bunch of like misplays, like key misplays. Yeah, even in this game, like Lamar had DeAndre Hopkins for a touchdown, and Mark Andrews batted it down.
Yes.
So I don't know. It's almost like they're paying a guy that is their friend as opposed to making the best possible business decision. I do wonder, though, if they went to Isaiah Likely and they were like, dude, we want to lock you up. And his agents were like, no, we're going to test the market. And so that their fallback plan was to keep Mark Andrews, and they're going to move Charlie Kolar up the pecking order in 2026.
Yeah, and the Ravens are a smart team, so I'm not going to sit here and kill them because I suspect that they have more information than we do on what's going on here. So yeah, I'm not going to kill them for it. I do think that it's a lot of money for a player pretty clearly in decline. Last Ravens note, Keaton Mitchell ripped off a 55-yard run here, as he seemingly does every time he gets the ball, but hurt his knee. He's had a long history of knee issues. Good news is no structural damage. They're calling him day to day. Let's go to the Bills. This was a snowy game in Buffalo between Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. Both quarterbacks were very good, but Josh Allen was truly special. I mean, full Superman for 38 more fantasy points as the Bills win a wild one in the fourth quarter, 39-34. Evan, what do you think of Bills win over the Bengals?
Just, an awesome game. Josh Allen is unbelievable. He's the best player in the NFL. I already said that.
Yeah. He's also fantasy's top quarterback now by a wide margin.
Yeah,
He's more
huge margin.
3 points clear of any other quarterback.
Yep.
And Lamar.
Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
So you know how they don't have dudes who can win on the perimeter? Like they to a greater extent than maybe any team in the NFL, the Bills do not have dudes who can win on the perimeter. I think that's a good thing for Josh Allen's fantasy value. I think it's a bad thing for the Bills.
Yeah.
They need guys who can win on the perimeter. It's almost like Brandon Beane's, pride is getting in the way of going and acquiring guys like that. But I think it's good for Josh Allen's fantasy value. It just forces him to put more onto his back. I mean, he can win with dudes that can win on the perimeter, but they don't have that. So he's going to put more on his own shoulders, and that is awesome for fantasy, and we're seeing that in action.
Yeah, so I know I did a lot of the best ball drafts over the summer, and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson were very close in ADP, and I like them roughly evenly. I ended up taking a lot more Lamar Jackson because I thought his playoff schedule was so much better. Bill's playoff schedule is not easy, but in hindsight, it's just so bad because like matchups don't even matter for Josh Allen, but he plays at New England, at Cleveland versus the Eagles. But yeah, I wish I would have just done it evenly, half Lamar, half Josh Allen in hindsight.
I think I had Lamar Jackson ahead of him too in the rankings. This was an awesome game though. And if you, unless you like punting, if you like punting, you hated this game because both sides combined for 2 punts.
Yeah.
In Bills Bengals
in a really bad conditions or seemingly bad conditions.
Yeah, right.
On TV.
I don't even know if they were bad conditions. It made it more fun
for sure. Last note on the Bills, Dalton Kincaid. The word that I had was he was going to try to gut it out. Try to play, and so he only ran 19 routes on 36 Josh Allen dropbacks. Dawson knocked 16 routes, but it doesn't matter. You're playing the Bengals, and they both go off. I mean, this is getting wild. Every tight end who plays the Bengals, even if you're like a part-time player, is going off against them. So pretty crazy. But yeah, hopefully Dalton Kincaid gets a little bit healthier here ahead of week 15. Let's go to the Bengals. So just talked about this game. Burrow and T. Higgins and Gesicki were awesome, but the defense let them down big time again. And this is not a new take, but I could not believe T. Higgins kept coming back into this game after more concussion scares. He's coming off concussion. He hits his head a couple times in this game, goes to the tent. Somehow they clear him. And then on Monday, they announced that he's back in the protocol there. So going to be a lot of scrutiny on what happened during this game to allow T. Higgins to keep going back into it. I'm worried now, though, that T is going to be out for a while, which sucks. And obviously, all these brain injuries he's sustaining is terrible also. So yeah, Evan, any thoughts on Bengals loss to the Bills?
No deep thoughts. We just talked about the game. But I would say that something really, really went wrong with Jermaine Burton, who they cut today, 3rd-round pick, super talented kid out of Alabama. I feel like I know for sure that Joe Burrow did not like him because he'd be side-eyeing him all the time. And it was almost like Joe Burrow was the guy who wanted him to be inactive. They had opportunities to play Jermaine Burton this year. T. Higgins missed time. Jamar Chase missed time.
Gesicki's been out. Yeah.
He couldn't even get on the on the freaking active game day roster.
Yeah.
That dude is blowing an incredible opportunity that he had to catch passes in one of the, he had a huge opportunity. He blew it.
I mentioned Mike Gesicki. So Mike Gesicki got hurt in the first game that Joe Flacco played. I think that was like week 6. Finally, Gesicki's back up to speed. Last 3 weeks, he's seen 16 combined targets. That's a pretty valuable role when they get into shootouts that Gesicki has. And they get into shootouts often because the defense is so bad and Burrow is so good. Last note, Chase Brown lost 6 carries and 22 snaps to Samaje Perine. But when the quarterback play has been reasonable, good, Chase Brown has been productive. Since the Bengals benched the Bengals benched Jake Browning ahead of week 6, Chase Brown is fantasy's running back 9. So hasn't been explosive, but scores touchdowns, catches the football, gets what's blocked. It's just like he needs to be carried by a good offense. And that's what we've gotten since Flacco has gotten under center. Broncos moved to 11-2 with a 24-17 win over the Raiders. I didn't think the game was really as close as the final score seemed. Story for me has to be RJ Harvey. This time he handles 17 of 25 running back carries, gets the goal line chances and converts them again, and also catches 6 balls on 6 targets. So pretty encouraging game, I thought, for RJ Harvey. Yes, it was against the Raiders. Evan, what do you think of Broncos' win?
Broncos just had the ball the entire time. They won the time of possession 40-20. The Broncos gained 27 first downs, so they just controlled the football. Bo Nix, they're not even really letting him take chances. He's been all over the place all season. He can do, he can do like fun things on the football field, but he does a lot of really risky, carefree things. In this game, his ADOT was super. He went 26 of 31, which looks great, but I'm sorry. 26 of his 31 completions were under 10 air yards.
Yeah.
So they're not taking a lot of chances with him. Pat Bryant, again, ahead of Troy Franklin. And I think that Pat Bryant, I don't want to say has sewn up, but he's clearly in the lead to be the Broncos' number 2 receiver the rest of the way behind Courtland Sutton.
Yeah, so a couple things. On Pat Bryant, yes, he outrouted Troy Franklin 29-17. So, it was a good run for the shower narrative. Only 17 routes on 43 Bo Nix dropbacks. But Pat Bryant, 29 out of 43 is not great either. And Bo Nix targeted 11 different pass catchers. So it's a tough click for me still on Pat Bryant. He's not a full-time player. He's not running 100% of the routes or anywhere close to that. And they target so many different guys. Other thing on the Broncos, a hallmark of Sean Payton offenses is checkdowns to the running back. And RJ Harvey was a very good pass catcher in college, caught all 6 of his targets here. I think that's like a sticky role, throwing the ball short to RJ Harvey. And I think that's an exciting role there for him.
He's got to have one of the highest targets per route run rate of any running back in the league.
Yeah. That's just Sean Payton and Bo Nix and RJ Harvey. It just combines to make sense. Last thing, not fantasy related, I have to give a shout out to Evan Ingram, taking time out of his day today to go to my kid's school to hang with some of the special ed kids that are there. So good dude, seemingly, Evan Ingram. I'll get the full trip report from my kids after they get to meet Evan Ingram.
That's awesome. Today. He had a great game the week before this.
Indeed, he did. Texans. Special night for the Texans. They go into Arrowhead. Defense dominates. They win 20-10. I said last week, I thought that the Texans could go on a run. Clearly, the defense is good enough. Is the offense good enough for them to get to the Super Bowl? I don't know. Nico Collins certainly is. Every week he does stuff that's incredible. But man, they're going to struggle to run the ball. And Woody Marks has not been good as a between the tackles runner. Evan, what do you think of Texans win on Sunday night?
Yeah, that's it. They are the most lopsidedly defense-first team in the NFL, and the formula is working. They're beating good teams, too. They have won 5 in a row. The Texans have won 5 in a row, including wins over the Chiefs, the Bills, the Jaguars, who are like Shane Waldron's Jaguars are like 9-4 or something, the Colts, who at least used to be good. And then the Texans face the Cardinals and the Raiders at home in their next 2 games. So you could see this team racking up 7 in a row. I don't want to jinx them. I like the Texans. But they're on a roll and they're beating good teams.
Yeah. Nick Chubb hurt his ribs in this game and left, so you ended up with 26 carries for Woody Marks. I'm a Woody Marks fan. I drafted a ton of Woody Marks. We got the clean run out. I do not think that 26 carries, many of them up the middle for Woody Marks, is a good idea. And they were like picking him up off the turf. Like he couldn't even like get up. He just looked like he took so many big hits and was gassed in this game, but they really had nothing else to do and kept giving it to him. So credit to him for handling the workload for sure. But yeah, we'll see on Nick Chubb's status here ahead of week 15. Jaguars. In the upside down AFC, the Jaguars are staking a claim. They beat the Colts 36-19. Jaguars are now a near lock to make the playoffs, although they are in a battle with the Texans for the division. It was rainy. Trevor Lawrence played another very good, very aggressive game. Evan, what do you think of Jaguars' win over the Colts?
Yeah, and he still was under 30 pass attempts, and which I think he's done like 5 or 6 times in a row. But I think it's clear the Jaguars have their formula. They are going to run the ball, and they're going to play good defense. At one point, I kind of considered them a run funnel defense, but at this point, they're just playing good defense all around. And on offense, they have scored 25 or more points in 6 straight games. The Jaguars have. So, at what point do we start to talk about Shane Waldron as a 2026 head coaching candidate?
Never.
So I don't actually believe this. Okay, this is just a total troll job. But the Jaguars are playing good football, and I think that they have like a clear-cut formula that they use every single week. And the way, like, they have Jacoby Myers in that like dirty work slot role. He has great chemistry with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas had a good game.
He did.
Here, 3 for 87. He made some plays down the football field. It's one of his best games of the season.
Yeah.
But they have him back in that clear X role. They started out with Brian Thomas, using him like over the middle. He's not a super physical player. And so I think they've just settled into him being a pure perimeter receiver. And I think that that's how they're going to use him going forward.
Oh, Jacoby Myers is a better bet for targets. There's no doubt. Jacoby had 10 targets here for a 33% share. I also thought Brian Thomas played a really good game, but it was on some more difficult sideline type stuff. Parker Washington did not play in this game. Tim Patrick also outplayed Brian Thomas from a production standpoint, 578-1 for Tim Patrick here with Parker Washington sidelined. Bashal Tutin frustratingly only played 2 snaps in this game. He fumbled twice. He lost 1. I also saw him get banged up a little bit, although he did come back after that. It was Travis Etienne, 46 snaps. LaKind Allen, 16. Tutin, 2. So, yeah, fragile here on Tutin right now. They do get to play the Jets at home on Sunday. Raiders were predictably overwhelmed by the Broncos. They get off just 48 plays. They muster just 229 yards. Pete Carroll talked last week like, hey, listen, we know we got to get Brock Bowers 10-plus targets every game. Bowers had just 5 targets here for a 15.6% share. That's like very low after just 4 targets the previous week. It's not enough. Oh, and by the way, Geno Smith also went down with a throwing shoulder injury. Kenny Pickett had to finish out this game. So just a comedy over the last month plus for the Raiders. Evan, what do you think of their loss to the Broncos?
Yeah, again, the Raiders didn't have the ball in this game. So, and I'm kind of to the point where there's a little bit of a takeaway with Jack Besh, kind of interesting, but otherwise, like, there's nothing we could do with the Raiders.
Do you think Kenny Pickett, who they said that Geno's shoulder was still locked up, whatever that means, as of Monday? Do you think
there's a hand injury too on his throwing hand?
Yeah, I expect him to be out. Do you think? Do you think Kenny Pickett can get Brock Bowers more volume or be just more stabilizing than Geno?
I think that I would take Kenny Pickett over Geno Smith right now. Yes.
Okay. They have a very difficult spot. We're not. At Eagles, a desperate Eagles team, and then at Texans is their
desperate Eagles team that is still playing good defense. Their offense is garbage, but yeah.
Let's go to the Chargers. Great night last night for the Chargers. Beat the Eagles in overtime, and now the Chargers are like minus 400 to make the playoffs. Big story for fantasy was the return of Omarion Hampton. Kimani Vidal started this game. Kimani Vidal outsnapped Omarion Hampton 51-23, but Hampton scored early on a little flare-out reception. He also got 13 carries to Vidal's 14, and he was also only one target behind Vidal as well. So considering how long Hampton was out with that broken ankle, I thought it was actually a pretty encouraging comeback for him. What do you think of Hampton, Evan, and any other Chargers thoughts?
Yeah, me too. Especially as someone who has Amari and Hampton in leagues that are still going. And I kind of wanted to know, this was a good performance. I kind of think it's going to be 50-50 the rest of the way, Vidal, Amari, and Hampton. But I think that I can use Amari and Hampton as a flex in favorable spots going forward. But yeah, I agree. I think that this was a positive takeaway game for Omari and Hampton. Justin Herbert, and by the way, he's getting a bunch of garbage. He's getting crapped on by the media for a post-game interview thing, but he is incredibly tough. He led the team in rushing in this game. He took 7 sacks on 33 dropbacks. His offensive line doesn't exist. They lost another starter, Trey Pipkins, at right tackle, left with an ankle injury and did not come back. So I think he'll be out again a while. But the toughness on Justin Herbert, I don't know if he can play competent passing offense enough the rest of the way, because I think they're going to want to run the ball, and he's got a broken left hand, and they can't protect him whatsoever. So I don't know if their passing game is totally dead. And they were playing a good defense here, but the toughness is unbelievable, and they willed out a win.
Yeah. Tough spot against the Eagles, but they have tough spots remaining. At Kansas City next, and home versus Texans in Week 17. Now, this Week 16 game against Dallas will be very good for the Chargers. But yeah, I mean, at KC, home versus Houston, with the way Herbert's hand situation looks, it does not seem great. Herbert was awesome running, but they are going to go very run heavy. And, they went very, very run heavy, did the Chargers last night. Dolphins win again, this time over the Jets. Story was Devon Achane. I mean, dude only played 22 snaps before leaving with a minor rib injury. On those 22 snaps, Devon Achane scored 17.5 DraftKings points and had some ridiculous runs. He would have had like 50, I'm convinced, if he hadn't gotten hurt. The good news is Dolphins said he could have come back into the game if needed, and they're optimistic he'll be good to go for Week 15. I hope that's the case, because Achane has been the key to so many of my good teams this year. Evan, what do you think of Dolphins getting another win?
Yeah, he's also been the key to the Dolphins, who have built their offense around him. But, they stuck Jalen Wright in there this past game. And I was a little bit surprised that it wasn't Ollie Gordon. But Jalen Wright went in there. He ran for over 100 yards. But, yeah, I mean, it sounds like Devon Achane is going to be fine. The Dolphins have now won 5 out of 6.
Yeah.
And you want Devon Achane going, because in season-long best ball, whatever, because on Monday night the Dolphins have the Steelers, and you can run on the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Tua's been good, but they've won 5 of 6 with Tua not being that good, only 13 completions.
They have run for 160 or more yards in 4 straight, the Dolphins have.
Yeah. And just to follow up on what Evan said about Jalen Wright, I thought that it would be a lot of Ollie Gordon or even split also. It was just good to see Jalen Wright ability to carry a workhorse role. 24 carries for Jalen Wright in this game is the kind of stuff that coaches like to see on tape. Patriots. The 11-2 Patriots were on a bye. They will come out of it for a huge game against their rival Bills at home on Sunday. I can't wait for that game. That is an awesome game. Allen versus Drake May. We talked a bunch last week about the Trevion Henderson versus Ramondre Stevenson split. I'm expecting that to be pretty sticky and frustrating to people on both sides. And then also the Steph Diggs usage was not great in Week 13 before the bye. In this big game here, revenge game, whatever you want to say, against the Bills, perhaps that ticks up some. Evan, any thoughts on Patriots as they come out of their bye?
No. I mean, I have notes on the upcoming game, Buffalo, New England,
Yeah.
but they mostly pertain to Buffalo. Teams coming out the bye. I mean, we've talked about them.
Will Campbell, got some positive news on him. He's walking around already. He's not eligible to return until Week 18. But for people doing the playoff best ball stuff, does sound like Will Campbell, important piece of their team, left tackle, should be back, hopefully, for the playoffs. Jets. So Justin Fields hurt his knee during the week. He was inactive for this game. Tyrod Taylor goes down very early with a groin injury. That left Brady Cook, undrafted rookie out of Missouri, and he face planted here, ruining anybody's hopes for A.D. Mitchell, Breece Hall, or anything else against the Dolphins. Evan, what do you think of Jets game and having to go to Brady Cook here?
Yeah, Brady Cook went to my high school, so I didn't really have high expectations. I watched him at Missouri, and not an NFL player, and obviously, didn't get drafted, and so that's where we are. And if he has to start games, that's going to be a big problem for everybody else.
Yeah, A.D. Mitchell and John Mechie ran 38 routes on 40 quarterback dropbacks, but like when you play for the Jets, the floor is lower than for other guys on actual NFL teams who may have a similar base projection. So yeah, it's tough. Steelers go into Baltimore, move to 7-6 with a solid win. Most explosive game for DK Metcalf as a Steeler, I thought. Hurt himself, like his stomach or his ribs a little. Sounds like he'll be fine. But Ravens had no answer for DK Metcalf. 7 catches, 148 yards, and a touchdown. Evan, what do you think of Steelers gaining control of the AFC North?
Well, Aaron Rodgers played a hell of a game, and the Steelers are in first place, and they have a decrepit, old, geriatric defense, and they're down to their third string left tackle, and they've got a passing game that they got nobody in it except for DK Metcalf. Although Aaron Rodgers did, he created some jobs, by the way. He got Adam Thielen a job, and he's got Marquez Valdez-Scantling a job. So great teammate creating jobs. And he had he had his best game of the season. Aaron Rodgers did. So I don't know. It seems like he's not getting enough kudos, I don't think, from the mainstream media, Aaron Rodgers.
That's true. I still don't think this team is very good, but and I don't think anybody else does either.
But they're in first place in the NFC North, and we hear about the last team in the AFC North, and we hear way more about the last place team in the AFC North than we do the first place team, and that's a little curious to me.
It is crazy what Evan said. Like, just getting these old guys off the street. Adam Thielen ran 11 routes. MVS ran 16 routes. That was second most on the team. It's just crazy. Like, and one of my favorite players to watch, Darnell Washington, the 300-plus pound pass-catching beast of a tight end. He sustained a concussion in this game. He is in the protocol.
I saw Ryan Reynolds, who, does our win total stuff, awards stuff, suggest that maybe Darnell Washington could maybe get a deal and be a starting tight end somewhere. That would be really, really interesting. I don't know that any team will do. He admitted on a podcast that he weighs 311 pounds.
Yeah.
That would be, I love Darnell. He's a freak. He's an absolute freak out there. He could probably go wrestle in the WWF.
Oh, yeah.
But him as a starting NFL tight end, it just hadn't crossed my mind. And I thought it was an interesting suggestion. Ryan Reynolds, obviously a sharp guy.
Last team today is the Tennessee Titans. Titans get a rare win. They go to the winter weather in Cleveland, put 31 points on a good Browns defense. Honestly, one of the most shocking stat lines of the season for me, Tony Pollard, 25 carries, 161 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I know Evan liked Tony Pollard before the season. It's been one of the worst possible runouts for him. This, though, was just a blessing from out of absolute nowhere. Evan, what do you think of Titans win in Cleveland?
Yeah, especially if you had him in best ball.
Yeah.
Because, no one was starting. You're not even supposed to start running backs at all against the Browns, let alone timeshare running backs who have done nothing all season. But Tony Pollard showed that he at least still has some gas left in the tank. He broke touchdown runs of 65 and 32 yards. I don't think that this necessarily means that he's going to do anything the rest of the way. But it was nice if you had him in best ball, and I think that's where the conversation about ends.
For sure. Leading receiver on the team for the Titans went for 28 yards. So they had everyone back. Aya Manor played and DK played. And not that I ever want to play any of these guys anyways, but you just can't when they're all rotating here anyways. Last note, while we're talking about Tony Pollard, the Titans do have an out on Pollard's contract, so he could become a free agent this offseason. We shall see. Cap hit in 2026, if they keep him, is $9.2 million. All right. That's going to do it for another edition of the Team by Team show. Huge good luck to everyone in the first round of the playoffs. Be sure you are subscribed on YouTube. It is indeed free. We will have a special show tomorrow, Wednesday, myself and Herzig talking playoff best ball strategy and doing some playoff only best ball drafts for the people. For producer Luke, producer Ryan, for Evan, for everyone behind the scenes at ETR, I am Adam. Good luck, everybody.